Hello and welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball for Saturday, June 4th, 2022. We've got the whole gang here. I'm Carl James, joined by Cassidy Palmer, Josh Bennett, and Chris Feeney. This is going to be our last weekly podcast of the season, so we're going to kind of recap the whole season, including the rather successful run Indiana had at the Big Ten tournament. Indiana went 2-2 at the Big Ten tournament, took the number one seeded Maryland Terrapins to extra innings, 11 innings to be exact, twice. Lost the first time, but won the second time, eliminating the Terps from the Big Ten tournament. And then Indiana got to play at 11:53 p.m. local, which would have been 12:53 p.m. here in Bloomington, against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights did run rule Indiana in the middle of the night to end their season, but just overall a beyond expected performance for the Hoosiers in Omaha, which is one of those things that we'll touch on. But we're just going to kind of touch on various things for the season, just talk about what we're thinking about. Since we haven't heard from Josh in a while, we're going to go ahead and hand this over to Josh to get us going. Josh, what are your thoughts right now?
So I'm the guest on the panel, right? I mean, it feels like it at this point. It's been a while. Well, I'd say my thoughts on the season. I think if you'd asked me that 2 months ago, it'd be a little different than where we are right now. The way they closed out the season, getting hot aside from that hiccup in Iowa, really the last Big Ten series and then the run that they made at Omaha. I mean, you've got to be pleased. Like you said, they've got the number one seed, play them twice, and hey, they win that first one in extras, and the performance they got from Bremer the second game. Hey, they're sitting in the driver's seat, 2-0 in that bracket. So I'm very encouraged with the way they closed out. It was a interesting season for us, for sure. But the transfers that came in, Downs, Ellis, Perkins, Glasser, those guys showed leadership and played at a high level all year. The returning guys, Bobby and Jesse were rocks all year long. And then the way Ty and Reese pitched towards the end of the season, really, I think helped set up their push to make the Big Ten tournament, and then what they did obviously in the tournament. And then the freshmen all year, up and down the line, were amazing, especially corner infields, Tibbetts and Pine, just outstanding defensively and offensively. And Matheson in the outfield, what led the team in home runs, tied with home runs, I think, the way it ended up. So just very encouraged with the way they developed over the season. I think they were peaking at the right time, and that was a good thing to see.
Cass, what do you got for us?
After those first couple of weeks of the season, if you would have told me that this team would turn it around, would right the ship, would make the Big Ten tourney and beat expectations in the Big Ten tourney, I would have been thrilled. We came into this knowing it's a completely new face team, a mix of transfers and freshmen. And we've seen it time and again that freshmen, particularly at the plate, crash and burn about mid-season. The scouting word gets out on them, and they're pretty easy to pick off a little bit. And so we saw occasional slumps out of the freshmen, but nothing all that big. They always got their way out of it, and they never really none of them had that freshman crash and burn. This is probably the most resilient group of Hoosiers we've seen, at least in the last decade. To do that with such a young team of predominantly freshmen and sophomores, like that's insane, and sets us up well moving forward.
Chris, what do you got for us?
Well, I mean, if we're looking at the whole season as a big picture, it was obviously disappointing, because we're looking at this team as a regional team always, right? That's the expectation is. That's what we always want. And the way this thing started, it was like, what's going on, what's happening, the pitching, the hit by pitches, the walks, why are we losing games 17-16. So, I mean, big picture, yes. I mean, it was disappointing. I'm not going to lie. It's not what we are accustomed to. It's not what Indiana baseball is. We shouldn't be like, oh, please, let's get into the Big Ten tournament. And that's what we were doing. I mean, it was fun because we wanted to get in, but that's not us. So big picture, disappointing, obviously. But when you start to break it down and you look at it in a different lens and you look at it at the way this season happened, right? Where we had a whole bunch of freshmen that shined, right? We look at the Big Ten freshman of the year. I mean, we have most of them, right? And then you look at the Big Ten tournament and you look at the last, I mean, throw out Iowa, but the last month of the season where we were rolling. So again, big picture, is it disappointing? Yes. When you shrink it down to a different lens and you see how these players developed and how most of this team was based on new faces and young, and freshmen, you have to be encouraged for next year. But, as the season ends, it's disappointing when you look at it as a whole.
No, I hear what you're saying there. For me, what I actually go back a little bit further. I go to the last month of 2021, and to the points that some of you have made before, specifically what Cass made, which was because it really wasn't just the freshmen, it was a lot of the team took a nosedive offensively in the last month of 2021.
Correct. Oh, absolutely. The whole thing fell off.
Yeah. So you basically look at an offensive program. So they're looking objectively at the time that Coach Mercer's been there. Obviously, did great things with that veteran group in 2019. We're off to a great start with that group led by Dunham in 2020. They got cut short.
And Richardson.
Yeah. And then you go into 2021, in which with a couple of exceptions, Richardson being one of those. I'd say probably Richardson, and then Houston was a nice positive there at the end.
Definitely.
But then again, you look at the two positives were both leaving.
Yeah.
So one was graduating, one was moving on to the professional ranks. So got drafted. That offense was a real concern. And yes, we knew about how great the recruiting class was, but this season, showed what the hitting program under Mercer and Simmons is able to do. Really shows what that group, what that leadership is able to provide, and the fact that this truly is what it's been advertised as, which is this is a solid pro style hitting development program. That one of the fears I think that we had was that it would take a whole bunch of time for it to ramp up. But they've shown that they can take really good talent and ramp them up pretty darn quick. So to me, that shows a lot of positives. We were not expecting, based on the bullpen performance that a lot of these returning pitchers had, we were expecting the overall pitching performance that thrown in with we thought they'd have a way to be able to cover the innings. And as we've discovered, there were clearly issues there, especially early on with the pitching. But again, encouraged that while not perfect, we saw very large they were very gradual, but we saw those strides over the course of the season that led to having really 3 phenomenal pitching performances from this team in the Big Ten tournament. And really only one set of real troubling performances there, in that last game against a really good offensive team in the literal middle of the night. So overall, to me, that shows offensively the development is there, that pitching wise, they've got the ability to do it. And then you take, the leadership that Mercer has, with the rest of the group, and I'm projecting that they're going to be able to solve the issue of pitchers that can cover innings, and then develop them to be successful. And as long as they can hold on to the core of this offensive team, I think going back to expectations of annual regional performance, I think is warranted going forward.
Yep.
I mean, it would have to be. I mean, this is what we're talking about. I mean, it might not feel like it, but it's been about 10 years, right? You're going to go 13, you're going to go 12, 12 all the way to 22. You're talking about a decade of expecting a regional, and then to not have it for a couple of years in a row, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, but you only put expectations where they should be because what has happened before.
Anything in particular about the Big Ten tournament you guys want to discuss?
No, Bremer. I mean, Bremer was just so
yeah.
clutch to step up like that when we needed it the most, to give us hope that possibly we could win a couple more games because we didn't have to touch the bullpen. It was really impressive.
On Sharp and Tucker too, for far outperforming innings wise, pitches wise, anything they had done all season. That's why when Reese went, it was like, okay, is anybody gonna top him this tournament? And then Bremer steps up and is like, okay, is anybody gonna top him? And then Tucker throws some of the best stuff he's been throwing all season, and it's like, okay, well, they absolutely were ready to go. 100%.
Definitely.
Yeah, and to the point that I asked Coach about in the post game, there was that he had specifically talked about how pitchers whose profile is to throw a bunch of pitches low in the zone, they didn't think would match up well with Maryland, and that's why they tried to go with Kraft first before going to Tucker. Since that didn't work out, they went right to Tucker, but Tucker managed to not have that problem. So
no, not at all.
And part of it
no
was
problems.
Yeah, part of that was that they said that Tucker was able to mix in a fastball high in the zone, and I think that helped him along the way. So,
I mean, it was going to take a hell of an effort after losing in extras that first game, to even have this thing happen, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? We gave a hell of an effort, and then it just took. I mean, obviously, Modugno didn't have it, and it just got out of hand in the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
But it was just really fun to see us perform and just step up. It reminded me of the Texas games and the Texas A&M games, and where it was like, you know what, we're not supposed to do this, but we're going to be the only 8 team to knock out a 1, and we're gonna take this 1 seat to extra innings. And we hit a guy and lost, but what are you gonna do? But we stepped
that
up.
couldn't have ended any other way.
That was bad. I mean, you
After
can't go
this
a podcast without mentioning that. But
after this season, that it had to end that way.
The worst. But you know what, though? We had baseball games to watch. And how many times this year did we not? You know what I'm saying? It would be like 10-2. And we're like, oh, maybe the bench guy will get in and get his first hit. And we're trying to make up reasons to keep watching. These were baseball games. This was fun. We represented the program well on a big stage.
Yep.
I agree. Yes, a very big stage. It was. I very much enjoyed being in Omaha for the week. It is an amazing facility there. That is quite a place. And of course, without Nebraska there, it was with the exception of the one of the Iowa games. There was one Iowa game where they really did bring their crowd out. There wasn't a whole lot of fan presence there. But it was interesting. They were almost running it like a dress rehearsal for the College World Series. So that was all of the elements were kind of there, just without a bunch of fans there. So it was a very neat facility. I got to do 1 pre-tournament and 3 post-game sessions with the in the big media room they have there. So that was interesting to do. And
hotel interview too.
Yeah, we did that on the I got the team to agree to that on the rain day. Oh my goodness, did it rain? It rained for like 30 seconds. It was like this, and it was on the radar. It was like this one thing of rain that just basically just stopped and hung over Omaha for 36 hours. Man. It
Uh-huh.
was
Oh.
just relentless.
You did a great job with that interview, though, man. It really
Yeah.
came
Oh,
out,
yeah.
came across really well. I think it represented the kids really well, and the way you handled it, really good job.
And I'm still not convinced they're freshmen by how composed they were during that.
They've had to grow up quick. I mean,
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
and yeah, it was neat to get up there. That was a nice place, the Hilton that they were staying at. So
Oh, yeah.
Got
and it
views
was-
of the outfield, right?
yeah, and then that's so cool because this is the second floor, so they were on the second floor, but even still, it's just, I mean, it had to be great to be within walking distance of the field. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but further up though, you could see the games.
yeah, but it's all of that was just really really nice high class stuff. Just a great facility. Not a bad seat in the house. We went all around. We watched some games in the outfield. We did both sides. We went under the shade, then we went down low. We didn't go up. We didn't go up into the upper levels, but it's a really neat place. Boy, the guy that they had doing I don't know if he's local and does the College World Series, but the guy who was doing the whole the video board announcing and trying to rile up the fans and doing all the fan contests and stuff. That guy was juiced the whole time.
Nice.
Even for that Indiana Rutgers game. I mean,
Oh,
he's just
God.
like,
No.
Scarlet Knights, let me hear you. Hoosiers, let me hear you. And there's like,
At 2 a.m?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
He was
insane.
he never let up. He was awesome.
That's great. That's great. Good for him.
Yeah.
That was insane. What was it? Lightning delay at 3 a.m. our time.
Oh,
That was
I cussed. I
Uh,
cussed loudly.
never did I think I would have to Google a lightning GIF at 3 a.m.
Well, just about
for Twitter.
it was one strike away from being technically a full game. One strike away. And I'm like, oh, really now? Come on.
Yeah. Now I will say that the let me see here. So I will, so yeah, just it was a fantastic weekend. I think it was a good representation. Getting to see a lot of good baseball. And just like you said, Chris, just seeing Indiana fight and compete in all aspects of the game
Mhm.
the whole way, including defensively. I was actually very
Yeah.
impressed with what Indiana did defensively. So and doing it on a natural field, which is not what they're normally accustomed to. So
Well, I found that interesting from Pine that he was so strongly in favor of the natural field.
just you don't get those really high choppers that you can see
Right.
on turf. I mean, and that play, saved the game. I mean, he was
Yeah.
able to throw out with the bases loaded, managed to throw out a runner at home. So
Yep.
But it was overhaul. So Chris, am I doing all the red belts this week? Is that the plan?
I thought that's what we had said. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure I can come
Well,
up
I'm
with
ready.
some on the
No,
fly, but you were
No,
in the
I'm ready.
building.
I'm
so-
ready. I was in the building, and I definitely have my thoughts.
I mean, I definitely saw every pitch of every game, but I mean, you were in the building.
Quite frankly, it wasn't all that hard. The Joey Donato Award, the all tournament team, and that was Bradley Bremer, complete game.
Yep.
Which was big in so many ways. Elimination game, and of course, Indiana's seen this, like you mentioned, Chris, a couple of times in recent years. But we can even go back further to how big in tournaments in the 23-13 year. There were 2 massive complete games. Joey Donato's in Omaha in that
Yes.
same building.
Mhm.
But also, and this was something they brought up in the media, and it's weird that I didn't immediately think about this, because it was the game that sold me on Indiana baseball, was Will Corson Carr's
Mhm.
performance in the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
So you really, which was the championship game in 2013. You talk about how important those are, but in this case, it more reflects what you were talking about, Chris, which is those elimination games when you've been beat down into the losers bracket and you're in a position in which you have to save arms in order to be able to at least win one more game. And that's what Bradley
Right.
Brimmer provided. And he had all of his pitches working. It was just he was just awesome, and you could see it there in being there in person. It was especially, and afterwards talking to him, and he had his confidence there, and he was feeling it, and he had all of his pitches working. So that's
And
the
you could-
Joey.
And you could even see that in the interview as well. You could see the confidence, and that was a little lacking early in the season when we
Yep.
talked to him previously. You could see the difference just talking to him.
Well, that's
So,
why when I went to look up for that tweet about Milto and Stever, it reminded me of it.
yeah,
Oh
And
yeah.
I know it's not NCAA tournament, but this being the Big Ten tournament and us obviously not getting an at-large bid and knowing it,
Yeah.
it was elimination, game, and all three of them threw complete games. It's amazing.
so that's Joey Donato Award. The Alex Dickerson Award for hitting. I didn't dig much into the stats because in the end, a 2-out RBI with the bases loaded
Say it, Carl. Who got it?
to beat the number 10 team in the country and be the first 8 to eliminate a 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Josh Pine. That's just,
Damn.
I mean, it doesn't get more clutch than that. And the fact that he continues to do this over and over and over again.
Like a savant. I'm telling you, this guy's unbelievable.
I mean, it's to the point that I'm almost thinking, it's like, okay, we've got a situation with with him on deck, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, we've got 1 out, runner on third. It's like, you know what? I'm not even all that upset if the guy strikes out. It's like,
No, just let Pine do it.
We'll have Pine up with 2 outs. It'll be fine.
Guy's a beast.
So that's that one. Defensively, I had to give it some thought, just because there have been so many good ones. And you have to talk about Pine in this mix, because the one we just talked about, that chopper that he managed to cut off and then throw home to get the lead runner at home. He also had a ridiculous throw where he was beyond third base and
Yep.
managed to get it. And then even then, you have to talk about Tibbetts, because Tibbetts has been a machine there, and
Yep.
and even if that ball doesn't make it in the air, he finds a way to catch that ball.
Yeah.
All of that together. But again, I had to be a little biased because I was only 15 feet away when Tyler Dones caught that ball. He ran
Oh yeah.
from second base to the wall
Yep.
to catch that ball.
And there's a lot of
that
foul
ball.
ground in that stadium.
Yeah, and
Yes,
it's not like we're talking about
Huge.
yeah, but he also just luckily happened to do it 15 feet in front of me.
He literally was 10 feet off of second base when that
Yeah.
ball went in the air.
Yeah.
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 Well, and I did go back and watch the replay, and it was
Yep.
even more impressive watching the
Yep.
replay. But the catch itself, I saw literally 15 feet in front of me, and it was phenomenal. But that wasn't the only great play he had. He had that in the first game, which in Indiana didn't win, but he got the game into extras by I think extended it in the 10th to the 11th with that liner, by catching
Yeah.
that liner that was.
Yep.
Oh, that felt like a broken bat base hit to me. Obviously, it's a metal bat, but from watching baseball,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that felt like a broken bat base hit game winner.
Yeah, and it looked a little bit more. The hit looked more impressive in live than it did in the replay. It looked like a line drive in live.
Not on TV,
Mhm.
bro. Not
Yeah.
on TV.
I know. I watched the replay, and it's like, yeah, that. I'm telling you, live it was like, oh, that was going through, and he caught that. I was like, oh my goodness, Tyler just.
But even on TV, with it feeling like a broken bat, it still
Yeah.
felt like it was going to get to the outfield.
Yeah.
So that was killing me. I'm
so
like,
I'm-
they're not going to win like this.
Yeah, so I'm including both of those, and just Tyler was a machine. He was part of turning double plays, which hasn't been great for the middle infield this year. Not making mistakes, but not quite turning it, and they managed to turn a couple this weekend. All those together, it was like Tyler's like, he knows it's his last collegiate season, his last collegiate go round, and he was gonna make sure they were gonna keep going on if he had anything to do with it. So what a great cap off to a fantastic year that Tyler had. and coming in his 1 year and being in all facets the leader of this team. So just tip of the hat to Tyler Downs for what he did. So that's the other red belt goes to the Butler red belt goes to Tyler Downs. We have all made our 8 picks for Omaha for the NCAA tournament. So we were going to share all of those. So Josh, why don't you get us started?
Okay. Well, we're recording this Saturday evening, and I had Gonzaga, who luckily got out with their win. So I almost had a pick for my World Series out before we even recorded this, but we locked into them early, so I wasn't going to cheat that, but they're still alive. But okay, so I've got Tennessee, Texas A&M, Gonzaga, Stanford, Arkansas, Miami, and Oklahoma State. I heard Peterson on the radio say, Feeney was talking about what an overwhelming favorite Tennessee is to win this year with the bettors. And yeah, their record, I mean, what single digit losses is just incredible. But I think he said that it been like one time in 40 years where the number 1 overall seed has actually won.
1999.
Is that what it was?
It's the last time it's happened. UCLA.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're not picking them to win. We're picking them just to get.
Yeah,
to
no,
Omaha,
I know.
so.
I'm still going to
Yeah.
go out there and say that Oklahoma State is going to be my champion, even though we weren't required to do that. I'll go out there and say that just because, yeah, that's what I do.
It does seem like their catcher isn't going to play. Who's
Tennessee's?
who's a big time bat for them. They haven't announced what it is, so that could alter the odds or whatever. But when the tournament came out, they were the biggest favorite since 1999, which was the last time the number 1 seed won. That's the thing. You take the 1 seed, you feel like you're taking chalk, but actually you're taking an upset because it never happens.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I think the other thing you said was they have seven guys starting that have double-digit home runs and 1 guy coming off the bench.
They're out of control.
Like, I mean, I don't know how you don't win with what their pitching is and that, but you know, it probably won't happen, even though it should.
Kentucky beat them in a series. So.
Yeah, it's baseball.
Crazy.
It's baseball.
Baseball.
Yep.
Chris, what do you got?
All right, for my Omaha 8, I'm going to go UCLA, who's already in the losers bracket, but again, we filled this out beforehand. LSU, who took a crazy comeback to even be in the winners bracket right now. Arkansas, Texas State, Oklahoma, Ball 5, Texas and Texas A&M, at Texas and Tennessee, and then for my finals, I'm going to go Arkansas over UCLA, Tennessee over Oklahoma, and then Arkansas over Tennessee.
I honestly did not look too much at this. Mine is fairly chalk-y this time around. Of course, Tennessee, we all had, I'm pretty sure we'll all have had that one.
Nope, I did not have Tennessee.
You didn't have them for Omaha. Okay.
Ooh.
No, I'm predicting Notre Dame, but go ahead.
Yeah, I toyed with that, but no, the year Tennessee's having, I'm not picking against them. Who else do I have? I've got Stanford, Oregon State, Virginia Tech, Louisville, LSU, Arkansas, Texas. And I have not even thought further.
Boo
beyond
to
that.
Louisville pick. Boo.
I thought that they were a pretty strong number 12 overall. So I'm like, let's pick Louisville. Pick someone on that side.
Boo.
Yep. Hey, I did it too. I got Louisville getting to Omaha, but going 2 and a Q in Omaha, which is what they always do.
yeah.
They get there and they go 2 and a Q.
And they do that anyway, right?
So I've got Notre Dame as upsetting Tennessee in a super. So East Carolina, Louisville.
Boo.
Though I have with Josh, I have zero confidence in this now. Gonzaga. For the other bracket, I've got Stanford, Arkansas, Arizona, and Vanderbilt.
Go San Diego.
Yep. As I said, so yeah, San Diego will always find a way to mess with me. So
Yes.
But come on, if they
That's the rule.
if they knock out some people, we got to put them on your good side.
yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you there. Yeah. So they're starting to get there after 2018. So. So overall, I've got in the finals, I've got a final series between Notre Dame and Stanford, with Stanford coming out on top. So, and my reasoning on this is simply, I'm sorry, Stanford most impressive team I've seen so far.
Everybody I heard that went out to Round Rock said they looked the part. So,
and then it's like they all kind of disappeared for a few weeks, and recently they've been playing up to that level again. And I said, if the team that we saw at Round Rock, and also if Notre Dame gets hot and manages to upset Tennessee in the Super, put all that together, Stanford's national champion.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. They were hitting bombs today, boy. They were hitting balls. I think one guy hit an ice cream truck. I'm telling you, go back and look. I think the guy hit an ice cream truck. The truck was parked like 40 yards past the home run wall.
But I mean, just the relentlessness of their at-bats. Is just, they did not have a bad plate appearance that entire game. It was the best I've seen offensively.
And the athletes they have.
Yeah.
They got some big fellas.
Mm-hmm.
well, Chris, you'll be happy to know Michigan's up 7-2 on Louisville.
Yes, that's what
There you go.
about.
You don't have to boo. You don't have to boo for a minute. I thought that was appropriate to throw in.
The last time I looked, I think Louisville was up 2-1.
They were.
So,
I like it. I like that update.
Is
Carl,
Michigan-
get us back on. Get us back online, Carl.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. All right. Well, those are the picks. Or we're just throwing those out there because everyone does that. So, and again, you'll hear from us occasionally throughout the season. We'll keep you posted on what we hear, what we find out, and maybe we'll have some folks to talk to over the year. It's also coming up on the 10th anniversary of the College World Series team, so we might have some content related to that as well. So we really do appreciate. I was looking at the stats, and IUBase.com's hits have been going up gradually over the course of the season, so that was good to see. Kind of peaked there the day that it was clinch day for the Big Ten tournament. That was the biggest day of the year, as we were trying to constantly update on whether Indiana was going to make it, what the scenarios look like.
Yep.
But again, thank you for paying attention, for listening, watching the podcast, for viewing the site. We do this because we love it, but it's great to have an audience and to have people paying attention, who love Indiana baseball. Yeah, even if it's to have conversations that were not so pleasant when things weren't going well. We really enjoy following this team and being involved in following this team, and we will continue to do that. So. That's all I've got. Anything else we want to discuss, folks?
Maybe just to touch on Pro Bowl Hoosiers, David Welch on Twitter. They do a great job with our alumni. If you want to follow them on Twitter, you can get a lot of updates. I do the best I can as far as putting it on our Twitter handle, but really Pro Bowl Hoosiers and at David Welch really define what it is to follow the alumni.
Yeah, I just say, hey, it was a interesting season, something new for all of us to go through. It feels new, but hey, yeah, now's the time where we look forward to the draft and see what's going to happen there, and play the waiting game with the transfers in and out, and look forward to fall ball. So,
and maybe follow some summer ball too.
Oh yeah, absolutely do that. But yeah, look forward to recharging over the summer, and then getting it going in fall ball.
And honestly, all of you showed out too. There were a lot of really good days where it got up to almost 2,000 fans at the BART. Set a home opener record for attendance. So that was something that was set this year. But you're right, every series with good weather had good attendance, including the last series. So even with it being a challenging year, fans came out, and we just obviously want to keep that growing and let people know what a great experience being at the BART is. Tell your friends, tell your family. Let's get some more people there. I have a lot of very positive vibes about what's going to be brought based on what limited information we have now. I'm feeling very good about what the 2023 season for this Indiana Hoosier squad is going to be.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. So just keep track of iubase.com and our various social media throughout the off season, and fall ball will be here before we know it. And at that point, we will see you at the bar. Thank you.